Welcome to another Humm Baby countdown, and today we're talking about my top 15 one and dones, ultimate flashes in the pan. These are players who had one and only one excellent elite MLB season, but they were never able to do it again. The players on this list were only great for literally one season. I'll be ranking them from the least impressive single good season to the best. And many of these players you may have never heard of, but they all had one thing in common: one highly impressive big league season that probably earned them a spot in a lineup or rotation the following year, but none of them were able to repeat that amazing one performance. Players with more than one all-star nod are ineligible for this list because that means they had at least two good seasons. So let's get right into it, starting at number 15, Warren Morris, Infield, 1999. Warren Morris was a Louisiana State hero who smashed the game-winning bomb in the 1996 College World Series. He was drafted by the Rangers but traded to the Pirates, and in 1998 drove in 103 runs in the minor leagues. He made his big league debut in 1999, and it looked like he was off to a long and prosperous career, finishing third in the Rookie of the Year vote by hitting .288 with 15 bombs and 73 runs driven in. But in 2000, he hit just 3 homers all season long, and his batting average dropped 30 points. Things only got worse from there, and Morris ended up back in AAA in 2001. He never had another big league season like his first. Number 14, Bob Hamlin, first base DH, 1994. A top power hitting college prospect in the late 80s, Bob Hamlin was drafted by the Royals in the second round of the 1988 draft and slowly moved through the minors. He showed he was ready for a shot in the big leagues in 1993 when he crushed 29 home runs for AAA Omaha. He was put into the Royals lineup for the 94 season and absolutely crushed it, and he was hitting .282 with 24 bombs when the season abruptly ended due to the players' strike. Awards were still given out, and Hamlin won the American League Rookie of the Year award. Unfortunately, in 1995, he was hitting just .168 when he was sent back to AAA. Hamlin ended up with the Tigers and Brewers but could never repeat his amazing rookie season. He retired in the middle of a AAA game in 1999 after grounding out, telling his manager, "I'm done." Number 13, Jerome Walton, outfield, 1989. Jerome Walton became a top prospect while in the Cubs minor league system when he hit .331 with 42 stolen bases in 1988. The Cubs put him in their everyday lineup in '89, and he became one of the most exciting young talents in the game. At one point, Walton became the talk of the baseball world when he went on a massive hitting streak that eventually ended at 30 games. Meanwhile, he was stealing bases, making amazing plays in the outfield, and even tore it up in the playoffs, hitting .364 in the NLCS. Overall, Walton hit .293 with 24 stolen bases and took home the Rookie of the Year award and even got some MVP votes. In 1990, he had what appeared to be a sophomore slump, hitting just .263 with 14 steals. But he only got worse from there, hitting just .219 in 1991 and then an abysmal .127 in 1992. Walton bounced around the league throughout the 90s with some short-lived success here and there, but he could never stay fully healthy and productive for an entire season again. Number 12, Joe Sharbono, outfield DH, 1980. Another rookie sensation, the powerful Joe Sharbono made his debut in 1980 with the Cleveland Indians and looked like a future MLB superstar. He not only put up big numbers, but was a huge hit with the fans, who loved his crazy personality. Sharbono dyed his hair different colors and consumed beer through his nose. They called him Super Joe, and he hit .289 with 23 home runs his rookie season, driving in 87 runs. He took home the Rookie of the Year award and looked to be a future staple in the Indians lineup. Unfortunately, he injured his back in 1981 spring training and struggled to regain his 1980 form, hitting just .208 when he was sent back to AAA. He was the first Rookie of the Year to get demoted the following season. Sharbono played in just 22 big league games in 1982, hitting .214, and then he spent the rest of his career in the minor leagues. Number 11, Fernando Tatis, third base, 1999. Fernando Tatis, now more commonly known as Fernando Tatis Sr., played in parts of 11 big league seasons, but was never really a big impact player with one exception, and it was an incredible 1999 performance. And to say he started that season with a bang is an understatement. On April 23rd, 1999, Fernando Tatis did something truly unbelievable and crushed 2 grand slams, not only in the same game, but in the same inning, breaking an MLB record for RBIs in a single inning. And he kept hitting all year long, ending the season with a .298 average, 34 home runs, and 107 RBIs. In 2000, however, injuries limited him to just 96 games, and he hit .253. Tatis went on to play for the Expos, Orioles, and Mets with some limited success, but nothing close to that incredible 1999 season. Number 10, Wayne Garland, right-handed pitcher, 1976. Garland was drafted by the Orioles in 1969, and after 5 solid years in the minors, made his big league debut in '73. For the next 3 seasons, he was mostly used as a reliever with occasional starts, putting up average numbers at best. But then in 1976, after a trade opened up a spot in the rotation, Garland took it and thrived, going 20-7 with a 2.67 ERA. He didn't strike out a ton of batters, but induced soft contact and rarely allowed home runs. Garland's epic season garnered him Cy Young Award votes and instantly made him a top, highly sought-after MLB starter. Unfortunately, he didn't get along with his manager, Earl Weaver, and wanted to leave the O's. So he entered free agency after the '76 season and signed a lucrative 10-year deal with the Cleveland Indians. It was the first 10-year contract in MLB history. But in his first year in Cleveland, he led the league with 19 losses and allowed 23 home runs as opposed to just 10 in '76. Then he tore his rotator cuff and started just 6 games the next year, not pitching well. He struggled with injuries and underperformance until the Indians released him after the '81 season. Garland tried to make a comeback as a knuckleballer with the Yankees in '82, but had a 7.48 ERA in 6 AA starts before being released, ending his career. Number 9, Atley Hammaker, left-handed pitcher, 1983. Hammaker was a 1979 first-round pick who ended up with the San Francisco Giants and showed some promise in '82 with a 4.11 ERA and 27 starts. But it was in 1983 that it all came together for the lefty, leading the league with a 2.25 ERA and making his first and what would turn out to be his only All-Star team. Through June, he was absolutely dominant, going 9-3 with a 1.52 ERA. He had a few struggles in the second half, which would be more reminiscent of the remainder of his career. In '84, he started just 6 games before needing surgery on his rotator cuff and to remove bone spurs in his elbow. In '85, he went 5-12. Hammaker continued to deal with injuries and was sent to the bullpen, pitching for the Padres and White Sox. He never had another year like 1983. Number 8, Joe Mays, right-handed pitcher, 2001. Mays was a 1994 6th-round pick who showed some excellent stuff as a starter in the minor leagues, leading to his big league promotion to the Twins in 1999, but he was not great, going 6-11 with a 4.37 ERA. He did show some promise, including 1 complete game shutout. In 2000, he struggled again with a 5.56 ERA and 7-15 record. The Twins stuck with Mays for another year, and it paid off, as in 2001, he completely dominated, making his first and only All-Star team. Mays won 17 games for the Twins with a 3.16 ERA, and he led the league in ERA+. He threw 233 innings and had 4 complete games. The Twins rewarded him with a $20 million 4-year extension, which turned out to be a mistake, as Mays never repeated that 2001 performance. He had a 5.38 ERA the next year, then missed all of 2004 with Tommy John surgery. He was eventually sent to the bullpen, bounced around the league a bit, and retired after a poor AAA season in 2007. Number 7, Cito Gaston, outfield, 1970. Known for his time as a big league manager with the Blue Jays, Cito Gaston was once a big league ball player and put together an 11-year career that started in 1967 with Atlanta. In 1969 with the Padres, he played in his first full season, but hit just .230 with 2 home runs. It didn't look like he had a bright future until 1970 when his bat exploded. Gaston crushed 29 bombs with a .318 average and 93 RBIs. He made the All-Star team and was instantly propelled into superstardom. But then, in 1971, just as suddenly, his stats plummeted. Gaston hit just .228 with his slugging percentage falling over 150 points. The Padres kept giving him opportunities, hoping he could regain that 1970 form, but it never happened. In '74, he hit just .213 and was traded to the Braves. In Atlanta, he never hit more than 6 home runs in a single season and mostly came off the bench. He retired after 1978, having only made that one All-Star team in that incredible 1970 season in which Gaston looked like an absolute stud. Of course, he went on to become a great manager, helping the Blue Jays win World Series championships in 1992 and 1993. Number 6, Billy Grabowitz, Infield, 1970. Billy Grabowitz, aka Grabs, was an excellent multi-sport athlete in high school who went on to become an intriguing MLB prospect at St. Mary's University. The Dodgers drafted him in 1966, and he instantly impressed in the minors, hitting .281 with 27 home runs in 1967. In Double-A in '68, he bumped that average up to .308, and by '69, he was in the big leagues. His first big league stint was a rough one as he went 6 for 65, an .092 average with 0 home runs. The kid looked like a bust, but the Dodgers would give him an extended shot in 1970 just to be sure, and Grabs made the most of it with an incredible season. By July, he was hitting over .400 and selected to play in the All-Star game. He slumped a bit in the second half, but still had a phenomenal season, hitting .289 with a .399 on-base percentage and 17 home runs. The Dodgers planned to use him as their everyday second baseman moving forward, but in 1971 spring training, he suffered an arm injury. He played in just 44 games that year, hitting .225 with no home runs. And in '72, he got even worse, hitting just .167. The injuries began to pile up, including shoulder and ankle problems. He was traded to the Angels, but hit just .163 for them in 1973. Teams continued to sign him, hoping to find that 1970 performance again, but it never happened. Grabowitz played for the Phillies, Cubs, and A's before retiring after the 1975 season, which he spent mostly in Triple-A. Number 5, Kyle Freeland, left-handed pitcher, 2018. A top prospect in the 2014 MLB draft, Kyle Freeland was taken 8th overall by the Rockies, and after 3 solid minor league seasons, was put into their rotation for the 2017 season. He went 11-11, but showed more than enough to stay in the rotation for 2018, and that's when he had his special season. After a slow start of going 0-3 after 4 games, he completely dominated the rest of the way. Freeland broke a franchise record with a 2.84 ERA and ended the season with a 17-7 record. He had an insanely impressive 2.4 ERA at the hitter-friendly Coors Field and dominated in the playoffs, throwing 6+ scoreless innings in the wildcard game. Freeland finished 4th for the Cy Young Award, and it looked like the Rockies had finally found their ace. Unfortunately, in 2019, he was awful, going 3-11 with a 6.73 ERA and has only had losing records ever since. Freeland has not put a season together remotely close to that 2018 campaign, although he is still active and has a chance to get off this list with one more excellent season. But so far in 2024, this won't be it. He's dealt with some elbow issues and has a 4-6 record with a 5.51 ERA this year. Number 4, Chase Headley, Infield, 2012. Although Headley did have a respectable 12-year career with a few decent seasons, there was only one year in which he really excelled, a freak outlier of a season in 2012. Headley had already earned a spot in the everyday lineup for the Padres, and he was a solid fielder who could hit around .265 with about a dozen home runs. But in 2012 spring training, he set a goal for himself to hit at least 15 bombs. He was having an excellent year, on pace to meet his goal, when suddenly he turned into one of the best power hitters in the game in the second half. Headley was the NL Player of the Month in August and September, and over the last 2 months of the year hit .313 with 19 bombs. For the 2012 season, he hit .286 with 31 home runs and a league-leading 115 RBIs. He won his only Silver Slugger, his only Gold Glove, and he finished fifth for the MVP award. Headley came back to earth in 2013, hitting just .250 with 13 home runs, and he never had another season close to 2012 again. Number 3, R.A. Dickey, right-handed pitcher, 2012. Although knuckleballer R.A. Dickey pitched in parts of 15 seasons, he only had one in which he was clearly one of the best in the game. But unlike many of the other players on this list, it didn't happen early in his career. Dickey was drafted in the first round in 1996 out of Tennessee as a traditional right-handed pitcher. He pitched well in the minors, but not as well as the Rangers had hoped from a first-round pick. For 10 years, he bounced up and down from AAA to the big leagues, and in fact spent at least some time in the minor leagues every single year of his career from 1997 all the way through 2010. 2011 was his first full big league season without a demotion, but Dickey had developed a powerful knuckler, and it took years to perfect it. In 2012, he used that knuckleball to completely baffle the competition, going 20-6 with a league-leading 230 strikeouts, 5 complete games, and 3 shutouts. He had a 2.73 ERA, made his first and only All-Star team, and won the Cy Young Award, the first knuckleballer to win the award. He was also awarded with a trade to the Blue Jays that included a $25 million extension. Unfortunately, although he gave the Blue Jays some good stamina and plenty of innings, he never repeated that 2012 performance. It would be the only elite season of his career. Number 2, Mark Fedrick, right-handed pitcher, 1976. Although his success was short-lived, Mark the Bird Fedrick is one of the most memorable players of all time. This 6'3" pitcher was drafted by the Tigers and brought a fun quirkiness to the mound, as well as, for one season, his first in 1976, pure domination. After spending his first 2 years in the minors, Fedrick was a non-roster invitee during 1976 spring training. He impressed enough to make the opening day roster, and after throwing a 2-hit complete game in his first start, earned a permanent spot in the rotation, and the fans loved him. He would march around the mound after each out, talk to the baseball, and not allow groundskeepers to work on the mound during the game. He completed nearly every game he started and got to start the All-Star game during this incredible season. He finished the year with a 19-9 record, 2.34 ERA, and an incredible 24 complete games, including 4 shutouts. Fedrick won the Rookie of the Year award and finished second in the Cy Young to Jim Palmer. The next season, he started to experience injury issues and started just 11 games. Things only got worse from there, and he was able to appear in just 7 games over the following 2 seasons, suffering from a torn rotator cuff that was never properly diagnosed or treated during his career. He made his last MLB appearance in 1980. Number 1, Seattle Bill James, right-handed pitcher, 1914. There might be 2 people in baseball with the same name more famous than this player. There's Bill James, the statistician, who was largely influential in introducing the analytical era of baseball, and then Big Bill James, a pitcher who played for 8 seasons. But Seattle Bill James pitched in parts of just 4 seasons, but it was his second in which he looked like a future Hall of Famer. Bill James picked up his nickname with the Boston Braves because they had purchased him from a minor league team, the Seattle Giants. He went 6-10 in his first big league season, but in 1914, everything came together for James, and he went 26-7 with a 1.9 ERA, finishing 3rd for the MVP. He could also handle the bat and hit .256. James was instrumental in helping the Braves, who were in last place on July 4th, make one of the most unlikely late season pushes in MLB history. They miraculously won the pennant, and James was unhittable in the 1914 World Series. He threw a complete game shutout in Game 2, and then, as Game 3 went into extra innings and they needed an emergency arm, James volunteered and entered the game in the 11th inning. He threw 2 shutout innings until the Braves finally scored and won the game. They ended up sweeping the Phillies, and Bill James became an instant legend in Boston. It was one of the most phenomenal, although now forgotten, seasons in MLB history. But James missed most of spring training in 1915 trying to negotiate a new and better contract for himself. He refused to report until he got his contract, and when he finally did, he could never get it going. He struggled with a sore arm all season long and was even sent home in August just to rest his pitching arm, finishing the year with a 5-4 record. By the next season, he was back in the minor leagues, and other than one relief appearance in 1918, he never pitched in the big leagues again. James finished his pro career in 1925 with the minor league Sacramento Senators. His one good big league season was absolutely phenomenal and helped a team win a World Series, which is why he comes in on today's list as the greatest one-and-done player in MLB history. And that does it for today's video on the top 15 one-and-done players that had just one and only one elite season. I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of names in the comments section, like Brady Anderson, who had that one freak season that he hit 50 home runs. But keep in mind, he has also made multiple All-Star teams. He's had several very good seasons. I tried to stick with players who really, outside of 1 year, were not that great. So players with more than one All-Star team, I decided not to put on the list. Other than that, though, feel free to let me know anyone else I might have missed, because certainly I know there are plenty of players who had one great season and nothing else. So this is my list of 15. Let me know some more down in that comment section. Let me know your thoughts, and we will talk to you in the next video.